So for this at-home activity, I'm going to show you how to make a DIY bird feeder made largely out of recyclables and things that you can find outside in your yard. So for materials for this, you're just going to need a clean plastic water bottle, two wooden dowels, pencils, or even twigs, string or twine. The kind doesn't really matter. It just has to be strong enough to support the weight of the bird feeder. You'll need some bird seed, and you'll need a deep plastic bowl to serve as a baffle. This part is optional, but strongly recommended. One last thing that's not on the materials list in the PDF is you'll need some sort of object. It could be a piece of the dowel, or it could be a piece of stick to stop the baffle from sliding down on the string once the bird feeder is complete and hung up. So let's get started on how to make it. First, you're going to use a sharp knife or scissors to carefully cut two small holes directly across from each other near the base of the bottle. The hole should be large enough to fit one wooden dowel, pencil, or twig through to the other side and protrude a couple of inches out on each side. This is the bird perch. You're going to cut on the opposite side. You're going to cut two similar holes just a couple of inches up above the first set of holes, again going straight through that bottle, big enough to fit the dowel, pencil, or twig firmly through each holes, with a little bit of room on either end for a bird perch. So if you think of a clock, there's one set of holes that goes from 12 to 6, and there's another set of holes that go from 3 to 9. Next, you'll make the feeding holes. So above each perch, there's going to be a hole that's big enough for the bird seed to be pulled through by the bird, but not too big so that it all comes out from the top of the bottle. The size of this hole will actually depend on the size of the bird seed that you're using. The last set of holes you're going to need to make in your bottle is drainage holes. Now on the bottom of the plastic water bottle or soda bottle, you're just going to puncture a few small holes to serve as drainage, just in case any water gets inside of the bottle. Again, you want to make these small, good enough for water to come out, but not too big that not so big that it lets the seeds come out of the bottom. Next, you'll use the twine or string and you'll tie it tightly around the neck of the bottle, leaving it either the ends loose if you're going to tie a knot, or leaving it as a loop for when you loop it over whatever you're going to hang it on. And then the very last step is, if you are going to add a baffle, you'll turn the bowl that you have dedicated for baffle use upside down and make a hole in the bottom center of that bowl, just big enough for the twine or string to thread through, and then you'll position it a couple of feet above the bird feeder on the string, towards the top of the string where you're hanging it from the branch or whatever. And then you'll use a little bit of something or another, maybe a piece of twig, and you'll tie the twig so that it essentially stops that baffle from sliding down. I suppose you could also tie a big knot there too, but it's probably easier to just tie a bit of something to serve as a stopper for that baffle. And really, that's it. Next, you have to go and hang it someplace in your yard, ideally outside of the window that you've dedicated to use as your bird watching station. Hopefully this was clear. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop me an email, kelly@thefieldtripacademy.com, and have fun.